Okay. So all the logic is still contained in a test. So we still want to. It's still not usable from the index repository file system that we implemented here. So what do we need to do? Well, we can move these codecs files into the infrastructure here, because again the codec describes a way to serialize the index, but it's related to the file system. We can imagine that if we serialize it, if we try to save it in a database, the format might be completely different. I am going to create a codec. Yeah, we use the singular by default. Yeah, codec flags. Now it's supporting first level value, so this should work. Just importing the right types, putting the right imports here. We do need the flag as well. Import class. Okay, looks good. Let's create the Scala file. Well, no, sorry, this should be not flags, but more flags codec, because there's already the flag. It wouldn't make sense here to use any flag. It would potentially be misleading with the other flag that we have here. I'm going to create the index codec and the entry codec, and copy that. This is the entry codec. Using the right imports and importing that. Same thing for the header codec. So obviously here we need to rename that because it's not correct now. Oops. So we have the right imports. And we need to import the entry as well. Okay. Oops. So we need to import that now. Is it imported? Come on, IntelliJ. Okay. So now it's imported. I can rename it. It's not header codec, it's actually index codec. I did rename, right, in the... Okay, cool. Okay, so now we can see that we are evolving towards a state that is going to be easier to use our index codec with this index repository. And in the test at the moment, we are testing those things. What I'm thinking is that it'd be good to have something that's specifically meant to decode. So if I create here, I'm going to create a trait index decoder. Or index binary decoder. And we're gonna have this method decode. And this is gonna decode some bytes, a byte array. One limitation with that is that we are not using a streaming method here. So potentially, if the index file gets very big, the memory required might be too big and the program might not work, but it's unlikely. So, and I don't know if scodec does streaming, has the option of doing streaming decoding and encoding. So I don't think that's a problem that we need to worry about right now. We don't want to rename to return an index, but we want to return 0, any throwable index. Except we created a special error earlier to embed, to wrap the throwable into a more specific thing. It was index repository error. Okay. Import IO. Import index. Okay. So now we can actually implement it. Or we can do that. Okay. Index binary decoder. And we're going to create a layer here. So val live new index binary decoder decode. Okay, that sounds correct. The only thing is that we're going to use. So now that we have a layer, we can use it in our test. I am going to call it here decoder. And decoder is going to be 0 service of index binary decoder. Perfect. And we can use this decoder instead of that here. And it's going to be decoder dot decode headers header and tree. Okay. The only thing is that it's written in Zaire now, so here is still returning what was it, an attempt of bit vector, so the type are not compatible. I need to embed that in a Zaire. Zaire succeed, and here I can put the require value. Oops. The encodes. So the decoded is not directly the index now, so we don't need that. We can remove creating a variable for that, and here instead of equals is going to be narrow, and I'm actually going to rename results into re-encoded. Okay. So it's starting to have some shape here. Are we compiling? Value is not a member. byte array. Sorry, I made a mistake. It was not value. It was 2-byte array. This is a chunk, so 2 array. Okay, so now it's saying that the test doesn't contain the specific layers. So can I just provide here? And what we want to provide is, okay, fair enough. Oh yeah, I actually didn't create the layer right. It needs to be z layer succeed. Import z layer succeed is not succeed. It succeed, but I didn't write it right. Okay, let's see if it compiles now. Okay, fair enough. It fails. The implementation is missing. We can. So I copied earlier the line that I replaced. Okay. So now we are calling the decode of the codec. This is returning us an attempt, and we need a Zio. So we can match. The successful is going to be Zio success. Succeed value. Okay. Zio fail. Index repository error, cause message recontext. That sounds correct. Now it's compiling. Okay, it's passing. Awesome. That's really great. I'm going to compile. Okay, no. Oops. I want to be back here. Extract codecs out of test and create a decoder layer. So you can see here something I didn't quite explain and did a bit quickly maybe is why we did the decoder here. We could have, or another option would have been to directly test the index repository file system, but we wouldn't have had the flexibility to directly specify the number of bytes, provide the bytes that we want to give. So, because in here, what is going to take is most likely the name of the file. So, what's going to look like is pass to index file string. It doesn't. We can't really provide some bytes. All right. So we did some good progress. The encoder for the moment I don't really care about, so I'm not going to express it explicitly. The name of the code, the name of the test should be decode and re-encode. Re-encode a simple index file. Okay. So we have a test here that encode and decodes, or decodes and encodes, but we are not really checking what we are parsing. So we don't know yet if it's quite correct. We know that there is something that are correct, like the name of the file. So let's say now we want to implement the index repository file system. Be great if we can have a test for that. What is the create a new test? Okay, it's not a Scala test. Okay. Well, I thought we would be able to create a Zayo test, but that's fine. I'm going to create it manually. So infrastructure index dot index repository file system spec. So this is an object extends Zayo spec default. Okay. We're gonna implement. No, I don't want to run it. I don't want to run it. I want to implement the function. Okay. So the test here is going to be what are we looking to do? We are looking to what a simple thing that we can see. We can see if it's returning an entry that an index that contains the README by providing the index file that we created last time in the resource. In the resource here, we have this index file that we are using for the test. So should read the index file. All right. And what we want here is what? I'm going to create a for. The first thing we need is to be able to use this index repository file system. Well, I'm gonna. Yeah. Should we test? Yeah, no, sorry. I was trying to think if we should test the implementation or the interface, but here we want to test the implementation. Index repository file system. It's not make, it's live. And here we have to provide the name of the file. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Pass to the index file. And actually I'm doing nonsense here. We want, this is going to be in the provide. And here we say that we want to access the service. Okay. And we're going to yield assert let me just copy the right imports. We want to assert that when we read, so index. Okay, fair enough. The index Okay, I'm gonna fix the import first to have the auto completion. No. Is right. Come on, IntelliJ. Okay. Okay. Why can't you import that for me? Okay, so we want to say that our index dot entries map name is equal to a list containing readme MD. Okay. Let's see if that compiles. Oops. And the name of the file is okay. It's still not a Z layer, alright? This needs to be a Z layer. Dot succeed. Okay, we have that layer now. Type not found, type not found. Sometimes IntelliJ is very frustrating. Okay, let's import it by hand. Import infrastructure index. Okay. Oh, did I make a miss? Did I type a typo then? Oh. Sorry, I see. Where is it? Yeah, it does need to be the... My bad. It does need to be the interface because there is a trait. And this is an object. Okay, fair enough. My bad. Okay, implementation is missing. That sounds right. Obviously, we want to go to the implementation. Implementation is missing. The only thing here is that we don't want the layer success. We want the layer from function. And this function is gonna take the index binary decoder. Index binary decoder. Index binary decoder. And we're just gonna call the index binary decoder decode. Well, we do need to read the file first. I can actually use my other test for that. Okay, there we read the bytes like that using the stream and then decode it. We decode file bytes and yell decode it. to array. Okay. Okay, so this returns the error channel for this one is correct, index repository error, if we look at that. But it's obviously not for this one, so I'm going to add the map error. Index repository error. Can we... Okay, ideally here we would want to pass the variable, but let's skip that for the moment. We have then a layer missing, fair enough, because we are requiring the index binary decoder here. So let's go back to our test and provide it. Binary decoder.live here. Yay, the test is passing. That's really, really good. Now we can compile. Implement index repository file system. Awesome. So we can we made great progress in this episode. Here we productionize the code. Next time we are going to be able to go a bit more into creating more commands and so on. So it's going to be exciting. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.